Danny the Bull here with Mycollectables. What's going on, buddy? How have you been? It's been a little while since we last chatted.
I'm doing good, man. Thanks for inviting me on. It's always great talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. I saw you've been camping recently. You just got back.
Yeah, I was gone for a week, and I wasn't gone. I took my phone, and because I like to unplug, but I don't like to like fully unplug. I don't know. I mean, some people might think that's funny, but I don't like to fully like throw my phone in a bag and forget about it for 5 days. I kind of like to check in, right? And when I'm on vacation, I like to do stuff I like to do, like for fun, right? Like, so Vive's part of it, and the other stuff we're doing too is all part of my fun, right? So I like to be able. So I usually pick a campsite. I'm up in Canada here, right? I pick a campsite that we always go to, and because we love the lake, and I usually go on a specific camp site itself, like a numbered one. It's got reception, so it's like right in the middle. There's like there's like a hole in the trees above, and I get that. So I can still go for drops. In previous years, actually, it was more about my gaming because I was doing mobile gaming heavily, and I was in these discords, right? And there'd be all these kind of like requirements with these guilds I was in, and so to go camping was fun, but sometimes that was really stressful. I would be like out there and it'd be like everybody would be doing a big thing. I'd be like, guys, I'm camping. It's like, oh, but we need you, we need you in this battle or whatever. And so getting those daily kind of stuff in. So I had to end all that mobile gaming. And now Veve's kind of like my daily mobile game, right? But it's, I can pop in and out, right? So it's all good. I even did a video from the woods.
I missed that. Did you? Was it on the Iron Man drop?
Yeah, I think so. It was either the Iron Man or the Stan Lee. It's funny, as a week ago, I can't remember, but I was sitting at my, my table, right? Like my camping table, and I had the woods behind me, and it was nice. It was actually like, I didn't live stream. I just recorded and uploaded. And it was kind of nice doing a video outside, like Patient Hodler. You know how he's like always walking around. And should try that. It's kind of like, I did that one time in Mexico last year when I was down in Mexico over the holidays. And I actually tried live streaming there a couple times. And I did one final video where I was walking down the beach, just sharing my thoughts, because that's when the Gym 83 dropped and stuff with Veve was going on, and like it always is. And I was walking down the beach, I actually took inspiration from his videos and it was actually kind of fun. So, but yeah, I like being in the studio.
So you do like legit camping?
Oh yeah, like tent and the whole thing. Yeah.
You guys go every year?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. We're in Canada here. We have like provincial campgrounds, like state parks. Right. And, in British Columbia, I mean, the camping is, it's could be the best in the world. Like, honestly, like for at least, trees and lakes and stuff like that. So we go camping every year, all the time.
Yeah. That's something, I've never been camping, and it's kind of like a bucket list thing, but I don't know if I can manage like getting the tent up and
it's a lot of work.
Pretty boy, you know what I mean?
It's a pain in the ass sometimes. We got a nice setup though. We've done it a bunch of times. So I got my nice, stuff, and we don't go too far. Like I said, I'm not going we're not like hiking into, like some people like to go, like they're gone. And I'm like, well, I want people to know where I am, right? There's bears out there.
I know, yeah. We don't want to lose you.
No. Yeah.
Yes. How's the air quality over there now? Are you affected by that in the wild?
Yeah, that was East Coast. So I'm way on the West Coast. So yeah, we haven't had any. Actually, it's normally the reverse, man. Over on the West Coast, we usually get the forest fires because of the big rainforest. We literally have rainforests all the way up from Portland all the way up to Alaska. It's literally like a coastal rainforest. So we get, and in slightly in the interior on the mountains, the Rocky Mountains, there's usually wildfires every year. And sometimes it gets really bad. Like I'm on the coast. And so sometimes the smoke comes, but that's the stuff you saw in New York and all that, like the stuff that, because that where you are, you're in New York, right?
Yeah, I'm in New York. Yeah. It was pretty bad a couple of days.
Oh man, I saw the photos. It looked like World War III or something going on there. And we haven't had it like that here where I live, because it usually gets blown out to the ocean pretty good. But we've been really good this year. No wildfires so far, like crazy ones. So the Eastern Canada was just, and then they got hit by crazy floods in like Nova Scotia, like 3 months of rain in one day. And yeah, so a couple of our Veve friends over there were like, oh, we're good, we're still okay. But yeah, man, crazy weather, but we've been okay over here. Knock on wood, still lots of summer left.
I think the machine is referencing my Ric Flair shirt here.
Oh yeah, I love it. Woo! Actually, my son just got he just got John Cena's emote on Fortnite. Dun, 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 dun.
Oh, they got Cena over on Fortnite now?
Yeah, and they got his emote, like his like taunt or whatever. So
as like a dance for your character.
Yeah. So if you like shoot somebody and like you want to like taunt them, you can just give them the old, and the music kicks in, right? It was weird. Yeah, it was just this morning we were looking at that.
Yeah, Kryptonics asked him what we think about Mcfarlane. We're going to get into Mcfarlane. I definitely want to talk about that. I saw that you posted your pic of Iron Man helping you barbecue. Did you land that on drop or did you buy in secondary?
Yeah, I bought in the secondary. I'm over on the wait lists, man. That
was my next question. Are you over? Johnny Dunn's in the house. Johnny Dunn hits everything, man. He even hits the wait list.
Yeah, JD, he's got the magic touch. I got to move in next door to him. Wherever he's
You're over on the wait list?
Anything popular that sells out, I can't hit. Yeah, not yet.
I'm 1
I don't know.
7.
You're what? Sorry?
1 for 7 on wait list. I did hit I hit the Stan Lee.
Nice. See, this is the funny thing. My son on the iPad hit the secret rare Stan Lee.
Oh wow, secret rare?
Yeah, so like in the house, but my account on my phone, I get nothing. I've never gotten anything, hardly, almost. So it's really weird. The wait list, I haven't been able to hit anything, but he landed that. So that was really great. We were sitting beside each other on the couch. Yeah. And but that's our second account. Like that's his little account. And there's not much on that account. And actually, it's really funny because that account got approved for cash out before me. It got it's hit waitlist drops before me. There's one other thing that it got unlocked before me that we couldn't even use. And it's a small account. Like, he's only got a few little collectibles on there. He goes for drops, and not all of them because I don't want to load a lot of gems on there. Right. But he went, we went for Stan Lee together and I didn't get it, but he landed the secret rare. So, I mean, I'm not really like upset or anything. It's just, I'm still watching these waitlist drops, and we need more, like, another month or two to get some more numbers in, because maybe I'll hit 4 in a row. I mean, I have no clue, but I'm really striking out on every single good drop so far.
Yeah, I'm curious in the chat. Let us know how you're doing on that wait list. I'm 1 for 7. I was happy to hit the Stan Lee. How do you think that one's going to hold up over time? Is that a grail, that secret rare, in your opinion?
I really think it is. I mean, I don't know how high the price is going to go or anything like that. I had it actually. It went higher than I thought it would go day one, because I did like some price predictions, and I had it like 350 to 500 around that range. Just being realistic, because it's 15 gems, right? And 1,000 editions, it's like 800, right? So I was like, whoa, it's actually doing better than I thought. But yeah, I really do think it's a great one. I mean, I know a lot of people wanted him to look like Walt, right? And I get it, because we'd be more like iconic, like more. But I was looking at him, while I was camping, and I was like, like, he makes me laugh every time I look at that NFT. He makes me smile. And I see Will down in there from Cryptoys, right? He's just posted him up on the, what's up, gents, right? So, it's kind of like the Cryptoys. They make you smile, right? Like, and so he doesn't, to me, Stan Lee doesn't have to look like, a bronze bust out of a museum for it to be really sought after. Actually, I look at it and I think it's more fun and kind of more appropriate to like Stan Lee, the man himself, like just kind of, like the comic book character, happy, joyous, all that kind of stuff. And if it's good enough for the family, I think it's good enough for me. So, so I actually really do like that set. I completed it day one myself. I had to like sell a couple amazing fantasy uncommons, which to me is like, I do not sell those. Right. And, but I really wanted that set, just like the Luke set. I went out and I got Luke's secret rare day one. I had to have it, and so I got the Stan Lee one. I got it for 309, I think, the Stan Lee secret rare. And then I just slowly, as the day went on, I managed to snag the other ones for like 26, 30, that kind of price ranges, and completed the set. And now it's just sitting in my vault. Yeah. So
and now the secret rare is sitting at, last I saw it was 550. Is that?
Yeah, I haven't looked at it today, but yeah, I think it dipped down a bit, right? So I don't know if it's back up to 700 or if it's five something. I'm not really sure, but 307 or so, I think 307 or 309 is where I got it. So I'm happy, no
Yeah.
matter what happens.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I like the look of it. I think it fits his personality. And so, like you said, like the family approved it. Did you see the article from Bloomberg?
Yeah. I wanted to, thanks for asking about that. I barely was able to see it. Have you been on Bloomberg's Twitter page? There's like 100 tweets a day. And so it's just, I saw people retweeting it, right? And I obviously looked at it and clicked through to the article. And then I went to the Bloomberg Twitter page to find it, right? And I was like scrolling, like they tweet a new article every 10 minutes, And I was watching a big interview by Elon Musk like a week before I went camping. He was who was he talking to? It was a really good interview. He was talking to the guy from Fox News who left Fox News.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a really fascinating interview because they talk about AI and everything. But the reason I'm bringing it up is because he's controlling Twitter. He owns it. And he's talking about these news media corporations that like tweet, like they spam like all day long, like one after another. Like he was really referencing like the New York Times and stuff like that and how they post every single article they ever do. So I see Bloomberg's page, right? I go to it. And as I'm like scrolling, looking for the Veve one, and it took me like 3 or 4 minutes to find it. And it was like, I was still on the same day, I finally got it. So I don't think it's, I don't think like every single person who even follows Bloomberg, all the millions of people are going to see that article because they have to filter through everything. But I do think the article is fantastic. And I think it's more important to the whole digital collecting space. I think what's going on, and we saw from San Diego Comic-Con, you saw a couple of big Twitter accounts talk about digital collecting as a thing that is like coming. And so I think it just helps that whole narrative. Like Stan Lee himself, that's pretty cool. People would see that. And if they did see it, they would go, Stan Lee, that's sold out. Okay, something's doing well. An NFT project is doing fine. Everything else is not. This is what kind of the impression was, right?
Yeah, it was like the headline was that it sold out and it did like a 30x.
Yeah.
Or whatever, which is a much better headline than the Sesame Street one.
I know, right? I said that time when Sesame Street came out, I was like, did we as a community totally screw that up? Because remember the next day, I mean, I didn't buy it either, right? So like, what am I going to say? Remember the day after, I was like, oh guys, did we kind of drop the ball on that? Because it got so much attention and there was all this like hate around it and all that. And we could have like, as a community, sold it out. And then the headline would have been the same thing that we saw for Stan Lee. Instead, it was, didn't sell out, told you.
Yeah, that's a good point. You think this is all part of Veve's marketing campaign, that they're reaching out to these publications saying, hey, take a look at this? Or you think it's organic, like natural?
I hope it's part of their marketing.
Yeah.
It'd be great if it's both, right? But at this stage, I mean, I hope it's part of like, because it showed up. There's been a few articles show up about Stan Lee, right? Across the board in different places, not just the Bloomberg one or whatever.
Yeah, I saw another one also. And I think it had similar wording also.
Yeah, so I hope so. I mean, that's what we want is marketing. I mean, you'd like it to be also like organic, like they just covered it because it was news. But and that's probably, I mean, they probably wouldn't put it out if they didn't actually like it or not. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, but if it's marketing, great. If it's organic, great. Just as long if it's not there and if there's no article at all, damn, right? So I'm actually kind of like I'm on board for both. I think it's good for both.
Yeah, and it is nice to see. I forget his name, but there is a big account. I think it's like 750,000 subs or whatever. Tweeting about, like you said, about digital collectibles and specifically about Veve and the experience at Comic-Con. So do you see, I know you're big on the whole space and you did a recent video about the birth of this like new industry and how it's taking shape. Do you see signs of the progression and it building out?
I think so. I think like just from that Comic-Con, and what you're referencing is, like this, I can't remember the name of the account either, but it's a really big, guy's got like hundreds of thousands of followers. and
Yeah.
he's like kind of a crypto guy, right?
He's a crypto, like NFT guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so he's like, digital collectibles are here. You can't, like, this is inevitable, right? It's kind of what we've been saying, and I think for me, that's the notion, like, that's the whole thing, like, because we're going to talk about, you mentioned Mcfarlane, right?
Yep.
And even his little video today, I saw that. I live streamed that video too. That was a fun one of Mcfarlane himself, his little commentary. I love that. But like, it's the whole thing. It's, we've been in the digital collecting, flipping, NFT space for a while. And the rest of the world thinks we're kind of nuts, right? It's not normal. Like, it's not normalized sort of collecting or buying and selling and all that. And NFTs blew up, and we all know about that. And then they went down and they got a bad rap, and they've, but Snoop's still in it and all, you know what I mean? Like, there's still a lot of stuff going on, which is great for NFTs. But you see these big brands, like, creating these digital collectibles and, creating these platforms. And like, to me, it's just, well, early on, I kind of got it. I kind of like, this is like an inevitable genre of collecting, and a product that it's going to just happen. Like, it's going to slow, like, it's just the way the world has been going. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
The world is just going this way digitally. It doesn't mean it's going to leave everything behind, right? Because like Todd McFarlane himself, when he was on Paul Barron's channel,
I just watched
right after, you saw the interview, right? Because right after he did the whole, Paul Barron said the whole thing about Veve being dead and all that, and everyone was freaking out. He actually interviewed Todd like a day later or something. So I saw that interview, and Todd McFarlane himself, like, he was how he was talking about just his own platform, like offering this as another option for collectors, like that mentality in his mind for his own business. Cause he's a crazy businessman, right? He's been one of the few comic book people that's gone from being an illustrator to like literally a business mogul, like creating an empire of toys and everything. And so he like, he's just talking about the space, he's talking about like, my customers, I want to give them another option. Like, it's a digital thing. That doesn't mean they have to ditch physical stuff. It doesn't mean they have to choose between the two. They can have this or not. And some won't buy it and some will. But the fact that he's building this digital collectible space is like, to me, like how the whole thing is going, right? Like, these big companies are going, okay, we can do digital collectibles now as well. And when you get the big companies doing it, it's inevitable that like people who go to Comic-Cons and buy toys there and cosplay, they see Veve there, but they also see HRO there, and they also see Todd there signing all his, like Todd's there, Todd McNeil, he's signing everything. It's inevitable. And I think you're going to see as more of these Comic-Cons come out, and as time goes on, these platforms like get created. There's ones we don't even know about. Like, we knew Todd was here like months ago, but he hasn't done anything in a long time. So now, but there's going to be another company that's like, hey, guess what? Here's our digital collectible platform that we're doing now. And then their customers will have a choice. Oh, you can buy their physicals as well. You can buy the digitals, or like what Todd might be doing, you can do the combo. You buy the, all that. So yeah. To answer your question, I think tweets like that are great for the whole space. It's about getting it to be normal, like digital collecting as being like a normal thing, like listening to music on an iPod.
Yeah.
What I mean? That was not normal. Watching a movie on your phone was not normal.
What I love, there's always a quote that I've loved. I don't know where I heard it from. I take credit for it when I use it oftentimes. But 20 years ago, 30, this one quote, things change gradually until you see they've changed completely, right?
Mm.
And so you don't realize it until after the fact sometimes, like the seismic shift that happens in culture, in society. But, little by little, things get pushed out gradually. And it doesn't seem like, big things are happening until one day you realize the whole world has changed, So, and I feel like that's kind of happening now with Veve and Mcfarlane and Crypt Toys and all these companies that are coming out and pushing the envelope and developing this space and building it in real time. And you mentioned options before, right? And Mcfarlane was talking about giving people the option, right? If you love collecting physicals, collect the physicals. I'll throw you a free digital. And maybe you'll like that, maybe you won't, but it's free. So what do you have to lose? Or you like digitals. How about you buy this physical?
Yeah.
And I'll throw you this digital. And now he's giving people options. And I like the fact also that we have options in this space. So, you know, everyone in this community obviously came together through Veve, right? I love now that we have different options, that Mcfarlane's coming in. We see Crypt Toys, and they're all innovating in their own way. And
Yeah.
I feel like it just lights a fire, you know, and you always, competition is healthy. It's good. It's great for the whole
Yeah.
space. And you always run faster when someone's running behind you, is my take.
Yeah, totally. And I had somebody give me an example, and I thought it was an interesting one. Because when I was talking about like I did it was a rant video, but not angry. And I was talking about this notion of the competition between these platforms and how it seems like, you know, in people want to put them up against each other, right? And I get it, you know, because like choosing sides or whatever, but I don't see it that way. Like I see it as like, you know, you have choices, right? You can go and you can get like you just talked about, you can buy whatever you want. And the more choices, the better. And collectors like choices. Like if I want to get a Star Wars digital collectible, I got a couple options now and they're not the same. Right. And that's cool. So we can argue over first appearances and stuff like that and which one's more valuable. And that's all part of the game. That's all fun to me. But having the choices, you know, and having these platforms push each other is the best thing. And like I've been, you know me, right? Like we were getting to know each other quite a bit. And
Yeah.
thanks for bringing me on again. I really appreciate it because I love talking to you. And it's but like I've been called Moon Boy and Veve and stuff, but I'm really a digital collecting Moon Boy. Like it's what I'm starting to turn into. Veve was kind of the thing that I really focused on first, but actually it was NBA Top Shot. I was on NBA Top Shot first before I even heard of Veve. So I'm because of basketball and sports and
Yeah.
all that. So that was and then Veve because, you know, I was told about it. My friend told me about it because the comics launched and I just missed the beginning of that. I got in a month too late after I could have stacked Marvel Comics ones at $2 a pop. I missed that by like a month and a half. But anyway, so I got in right when it was just starting to take off, right before the golden moments, right? Like in October. So I kind of missed that first run to be able to stack everything. But that was my first, you know, that and Veve was kind of like the first, like they were like the ones who would appeal to me and everybody here. So that doesn't mean they're the last.
Right.
You know, it doesn't mean they're the only one. And I love how other companies are coming because what you need more than one store if you want the general masses to get used to digital collecting. Like people are like we're weird, right? Like we are weird, like compared to what people do and what collectors do. Comic book people, toy collectors, you know, like just general people. Digital collecting is not like normalized yet. So how do you get normalized, right? Well, what I was going to say was that somebody quoted at me video games. So I said something about how in my thing about how, you know, this is kind of like the early days of the digital collecting platforms they're building, right? So the competition between each other is not as important as the building of it all. And I kind of tied it into the early days of home video game consoles, you know, like the Ataris and the ColecoVisions and all that kind of stuff that were getting it from, you know, the arcade where you went and you stood there and it's 7-Eleven or whatever, or the 18-year-old plus arcades. Remember those, right? When we were kids.
Yeah.
And then they brought it into the home, right? And so you could actually get a console and you could play like at your house. Of course, the games were crap at first. You know, it took time for them, the developers of those games, to make those games good. And then after about 5 or 6 years of it being in the house, then you saw Nintendo come out and Sega and all that. Then the competition started to get like heavy and you had to step your game up, and some companies fell and some companies rose. But in the first few years there, it was just building the notion of playing games at home and building like this whole kind of industry that didn't exist, right? So I see digital collectibles as like in that same realm right now, where these companies are building the space. In a year or two from now, or maybe sooner, the competition is going to get very fierce, and we're going to see who rises and who falls and who can compete and who like survives and blah, 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 and all that. But I don't think this is the time for that. Mcfarlane literally is just getting started. You know, this is their first Batman drop. Let's not like say that they're better than Veve yet, because they have to prove themselves. And let's see what Veve does in response, you know, and let's see, you know, but this is how it's sort of how I'm starting to see the space we're in right now, the time period. It's just the way I'm seeing it. But I thought the video game comparison, somebody said to me that what they said was, what do you call, you know, Nintendo, when Nintendo came around, it was competition, right? It's like, yeah, but that's like 5 or 6 years after
Right. First you had,
yeah,
even before Atari, there was
like ColecoVision,
television. Remember in television?
yeah, and all that.
Yeah.
And they were like making it normal to play video games at home on your television.
Yeah,
So
and
you
at
know, I
first
know
there
it's not
wasn't
the
much to
same
do.
comparison, but I feel like we're still in that stage of like, hey, everybody, digital collecting is actually a normal thing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Stan,
Does that make sense? I don't know. I'm
it
just gonna
does.
ramble. Yeah.
Yeah, it does, absolutely make sense to me. And, you mentioned before how people refer to you as a moon boy, et cetera. I think of
Some.
you as I think of you as a pure collector, right? Like, just someone who just loves to collect, and so you have that enthusiasm about it. And, to me, that's not moon boyish. That's just you're an enthusiastic person about what you love, which is why I love talking to you because you're passionate about it, right? So I just
Yeah.
wanted to
Well,
put that out there.
I don't really see it as a bad term totally either, but I think the implication is like ignoring all the negatives, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And I've always tried to say, if people watch any of the vids I do, it's really about focusing on the opportunity as opposed to ignoring negatives. Like, I don't dwell on shit I can't control, right? But how can I get ahead, and what can I do now in this situation, whether it's good or bad, to kind of like either get the collectible I want or make a gain or whatever. That's sort of how I look at it, right? I don't do videos about complaining about stuff that like I can't control, even though that stuff, some of it is really important, big time, right? But some of it it doesn't bother me. Like some of the stuff that Veve's done, I go, well, okay, that I can't control that, but what can I do right now in this particular environment, like with going on the market or something, or how can I get ahead or whatever? But it's tough because some things they've done have affected people like really harshly in their wallets, right? And
Yeah.
I've, so I mean, I don't blame anybody for that, but I just try to share my perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. Stan had a question here. Thanks for the super chat, Stan.
Yeah.
Was the McFarlane video a shot at Veve in regards to him not supporting the Veve Todd versus his authorized released Batman? Thanks. I don't think it was a shot at. I mean, they didn't mention the Veve Todd, right? They just mentioned that this was the first Batman released by the whatever creator, designed digitally by the creator, that was created by the maker of it, which is him selling his product.
Mhm.
And them, I think, pushing their way into this niche. And you're always going to get that like little competition, and people trying to make themselves stand out and make their product stand out. So I mean, I didn't take it as a slight. How about you?
Yeah, no, not at all. You have to understand, like, people have to understand who Todd McFarlane is. Like, this guy's an animal. He's awesome, right? Like, he's competitive. He's full of pride. He's arrogant in a good way. He's
Yeah.
amazingly talented. He's built his empire. He's going to sell his product, and that's great. And everything he said is true. Like, it's okay, everybody. It's fine. Like, yes, he didn't have his hands on the Todd on Veve. That's a DC thing. Like, remember, I want everybody to remember, these are not Veve NFTs. DC, the Todd on Veve is a DC NFT on Veve. It's not a Veve NFT. The only Veve NFTs we have are the logos, right? So this is a DC product, that they have fully rights to do. And when they signed the deal with David Yu way back in the day, and they were going to drop their first DC stuff, they took it from the black and white series, like the statues, which weren't they didn't first create them on Veve. Like, these statues existed. That's where the series is, okay? And it's with Todd's, like, they're allowed to do it. They have the license of that likeness of that statue. They made it an NFT, put it on Veve. It's the first, right? First DC ever NFT, first Todd McFarlane, like, officially licensed thing. Now, what I love what Todd did is he clarified. He goes, okay, look, this is my Todd. I designed it. I drew it. I worked with my team. It's animated. It's how I would have wanted to do it. It's on my platform, and it's dropping on Thursday. And I'm like, that's awesome, right? Because it is. It's his. It's the first of his. Now, right, Danny? Like, when they like, you can have FAs. Like, a simple example is this, okay? You can have a comic book with a character's first appearance,
Mhm.
And then you can have a comic book that's really valuable with the character's first time on the cover. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
technically
yeah.
they appeared in the comic before then.
Right.
And that's the FA or whatever, that the collectors want. But, oh, this one's got him on the cover. This is the first cover appearance or whatever. And you can have, like, for example, in toys, right? You can have a Star Wars toy, like a Darth Vader. And, way back in 77,
Yep.
first ever Darth. But then you can have another Darth Vader toy that comes out with another company, like the Black Series stuff that came out a bunch of years ago. And there's a first, Darth Vader in that. And people go, well, that's the first Darth Vader of that, And so, like, Todd saying that this is his first, it is his first. It's his. And I'm loving it. I think it's great. And you know that Todd, if you know him, he wants to sell this product. He wants to let everybody know, I did this one. That one was taken from the artwork I did on that comic book. And that artwork belongs to DC because that was the deal, right? And they can do whatever they want with it, and that's why he never said that one on Veve isn't legit. He never said that. He's just saying mine is the one that I did myself. And so that should make people really excited about going after that, Todd. It gives it more credibility, in my opinion. It doesn't take away from what Veve has. We already know what Veve has. It is what it is. It actually makes that one even more better. And I like how he said that, because you know what? I mean, the guy has pride in his work. I mean, he's a legend. I like how I see it anyway. I might be crazy, but
I mean, that's also my take. Listen, maybe there's like, I don't consider it a jab, but there's like a little nudging that goes on in competition.
Sure.
And then,
just letting you know, hey, I actually did this one. Any other ones? Because I watched it. We watched it live this morning. Any other ones? Yeah, okay. He never said they're fake.
Right.
He just said, this one I actually did. And that's an important thing right there. And it's okay. Let's say that the community and the collectors that, let's say that everybody thinks that the Todd that's going to be released on Thursday is the most valuable and the best. Great. Okay, get your hands on one. I mean, I want to. I have a bat cowl. My only way is to try to get that bat cowl allow list. And guess what? It's not going to make it to the bat cowls, because I keep hearing that all the XP holders, they're getting 5 each and 2 each, whatever. They're all going to gobble it all up, right? So, like, I don't think
I did some math. Yeah, I was doing some math, and I think that the XP holders will eat up about 1,000 of them or so.
Yeah.
So there'll be about 700-800 left, maybe. I think some will go to some bat cowl holders. I don't know how many people. As of the first snapshot, there were almost 500 people on the allow list for Superman.
Yeah.
It didn't capture everyone because some people linked their wallets after the snapshot.
Sure. And
then some people got to 5,000 XP, even after that. So we'll see. I like the fact
they did say on the Discord too that I've heard this too today. The intent is that this is kind of more of like an OG Mcfarlane XP holder drop reward in a way. And like future stuff, because you're going to want some save for the public. I mean, I got a bat cowl, so I'm earlier, and eventually I will have the XP. But you got to save some for the new public. But I don't think that's what this one's all about.
Right.
Future stuff, obviously, you got to save some for the public. I know with Veve's master collector that they're working on, and we haven't got yet. If you buy a bunch of stuff, there's still some allocated for like people who can't just buy the drop, like buy all the tickets. You know what I mean?
There has to be a balance.
Yeah, that's sort of the idea. So I don't think this is one of those, though. I think this is a real reward.
Yeah. But what's good about it also is that, 5,000 XP isn't a ton, right? So even if you found out about it a couple days ago, you could have bought a few things in the marketplace to get that 5,000 XP, make the allow list.
Yeah.
Get mint your 2 Batmans, and then sell the stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And so
sell it to someone like me, right? Because I'll be sad there going, hey, I got my wallet ready, on the open sea.
So I like how Mcfarlane out the bat is coming out and rewarding. I got in early because around Christmas time, so I buy myself Christmas presents from my wife, and she buys herself Christmas presents from me. That's how we do things, because we're both picky. right? And so I bought myself stuff from Mcfarlane Physical.
Oh yeah.
They got like the Peacemaker series, and I got
Nice.
some other stuff.
Yeah.
With the sole intention of getting the first Spawn series on there.
Totally. Yeah.
And so I've been accumulating those XP points. I'm like a whale. I'm like top 50, right? And I only have those first things. I didn't even spend any money.
Yeah.
You know, I ended up buying the Superman one myself because I didn't make the allow list in time.
Okay.
But that's the only one I bought. But I like the fact that, you know, they have their reward system right from the jump. It gamifies the process, so it's fun for me to go in there and check my standings, see where I rank, log in to get the points, knowing that it means something. On the Veve side, I was just you weren't in the space, right? Before.
Yeah.
There was just
on Dr. Strange's birthday stream.
Yeah, shout out Dr. Strange. Happy birthday, buddy. How old was he today?
Oh, I never asked him that. Like somewhere in the range, you know. Yeah. He's experienced.
What was this? I was saying though,
the Twitter
a lot
space,
of people have been spending a lot of money in Veve and they haven't gotten truly rewarded yet.
Yeah.
With those MCP points. Are you frustrated by that? You patient about it? Like, what are your thoughts?
No, I'm not. And only because I'm just waiting, right? My only concern is, I have actually two. I want to make a good point about this because it's a great question. My points still aren't being calculated right. I know because I've added them up like 5 times and, you know, I've read the article, right? I'm pretty smart about it. It's pretty simple. And so I'm not really getting all my points and I don't know what's going on with that. And so me not hitting waitlist drops is also, you know, it's not bothering me, but I feel like there's something not right. Like I just physically feel like there's something not right with my account or something. I don't know what's going on. And then I see like Rolex hit 100.
Yeah.
Okay. So I see Rolex at 100 and, you know, like what happens now? Like what happens now for him? You know, 10,000 points a day or whatever, right? I mean, so yeah, you know, I'm not like upset, but I think, you know, the clear indication from the community in the last, like literally last month or two, specifically in the last 2 weeks. I know Mr. MC1 Sanjay has been talking a lot about it too. And we've all been in the spaces together and, you know, like saying, look, Veve, it's time to get things going. And then you got Mcfarlane coming out and you see what they've been doing. Like you just described it with their XP and you see what other platforms are doing too, to reward. And it's time for them to get this stuff going. Now they're going to do it. Like that's what they've been telling us, right? We have the MCP, like, you know, articles and all that stuff. And so like, they just hasn't rolled out. So I don't know how long it's going to be or not, but the longer they wait, the worse it's going to get for Veve, right? Because people are going to get more and more like, okay, there's going to be more people hitting 100. I mean, I don't know who's next, but I mean, God, like Rolex hitting 100 and then nothing happens. He got the confetti, but he didn't get an airdrop or he didn't get, you know, I think, you know, they obviously appreciate him. I mean, there's no doubt that Veve's not just like, doesn't like Mr. Rolex. I mean, like the guy's a champ and they all love him, right? For sure. I mean, you know, not just because he spends money, but because of all he's done in the community. But I mean, you know, that guy, what does he do now? Just keep collecting? Like, is there 120 level? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't help me, right? Like, so yeah, they just they gotta get this out. That's all. And it doesn't have to be tomorrow, but they have to get it out. And you know, the funny thing about it is like, we're talking about it like they don't know.
Yeah.
Like Veve doesn't know. So I guess the implication then is that like some people might think that Veve doesn't care. And they're like, whatever, we're selling out drops all the time, you know, whatever. And I don't think that's the case at all. I think that they're building and building and building, and they're just, you know, they just haven't come out with it yet. Whereas like other platforms, like Mcfarlane said it himself. Remember, if you watch his interviews, and I've watched them all because the guy's like a god to me. Like, just so you know, the guy's like a god to me. You know, he's from my area. He's a Canadian from Vancouver. Like my most favorite comic book artist of all time. When I was a kid, that's when his stuff was coming out in Amazing Spider-Man. And it just, the stories were just blowing my mind. Like Amazing Spider-Man, you know, that whole series he did. And then how he got his own Spider-Man comic. We got the first 5 in Veve, right? You know, that series. And then just blowing my mind. And I've been collecting his toys for years, you know, off and on. Just, you know, with the sports toys too. I mean, everything, right? The guy's an icon. So if he talks, specifically in the last 6 months, I've been watching. And, you know, Todd's like, you know, he talked about like, you know, like for him to be watching what Veve was doing, because he actually said that, right? He said, you know, some of the other companies have been doing stuff and we're coming along now, right? We're following in. And of course, you know, Trevor's there too. He's got great experience at Veve, right? And they know how to like what the community wants. So now it's Veve's turn to like, okay, you know, this is where like the competition starts, right? Like we're still building, but this is where it starts to kind of like, you know, catch up to each other, right? So now it's Veve's turn to respond, right?
Do you think Veve, in part, they were first kind of like to this digital collectible space in terms of like licensed IP that gave them a tremendous advantage, right? Like they could get those FAs out, build, but at the same time, it's kind of a disadvantage because they weren't quite capable of building out like tech-wise what they wanted to. And because of that, it's taking longer. And if you're building something from scratch, knowing what you're building, it's kind of like it's easier to do, which is like kind of like what's going on over at Mcfarlane. And they have the benefit of Veve's hindsight, right? So Trevor was obviously part of Veve. He sees what the community is upset about, and it's his mission to incorporate that stuff, right? To please the target audience.
Well, it's also, you have to think of it too. It's just Todd's stuff. It's not like Veve's got, I mean, Veve's like no other platform because it has a ton of different companies that are selling stuff through it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like like DC, just DC handling just their own stuff. It's a lot easier for them to do things than it is to handle, you know, Disney, DC, all the artists, you know, Pixar, I mean, all the rest of it, right? Like there has to be that in the back. People have to recognize that Veve's a much bigger entity worldwide. Okay. Right. I mean, HRO, I couldn't even get on, remember? Like, you know, I'm in Canada. So they had time to kind of like, you know, really hone in. They don't have to worry about international payout and all that kind of stuff. And now it's kind of opened up, which is great. So, you know, they're at different places, right? Like they're at different places. And coming in after is always like a really good advantage potentially, or you fall on your face and you can't compete. So, you know, Mcfarlane, just so everybody knows, like the jury's still out. I mean, it's not like, you know, we're all thinking this is going to be great and let's hope it does. Like I'm hoping I really want them to succeed big. And I want him to do like his other like brand. Like I want to do his other, I want to bring sports in there.
Yeah. I think it's
animated stuff. Oh,
they've said that. Yeah. Well, the thing about him is that he's got so many connections in the industry.
Yeah.
And he's known for delivering top notch. Like he revolutionized the toy industry, right? With the level of detail that he put into his work and his pieces, and he made them affordable.
Remember starting lineups?
Yeah.
The toys. And then Todd comes around. It's like, whoa. Yeah.
So he's got those industry connections and he's got the credibility to get those partnerships, I think. And I do think that they will come out with more IP. It'll be interesting to see, you know, it's more of like a pure Web3 thing, that versus what Veve has.
Yeah.
And, you know, going down the Mcfarlane rabbit hole that I've been down the last couple of days.
Sure.
Makes me look at Veve in a bit of a different light and accentuate some of the things that they also do well, right? Because it's easy to dwell on the fact what they don't have, right? And there's a lot that they don't have that we're upset about. But what they're able to do is bring their product to the masses in a very easy and accessible way, right? Through an app that can be maneuvered by like my 83-year-old father and my 10-year-old daughter can both like use this app.
For sure.
Whereas, you know, the Todd stuff has a little more bit of a learning curve. And I think you need to be a little crypto native and, you know, you need to understand like how to download a MetaMask and set it up, transfer your Matic to the Polygon mainnet and, you know all those things. So it's interesting. It gives you context like to what Veve has done.
Yeah. And I know that, like it's like, I'd like to hear what the Mcfarlane platform is like talking about behind the scenes of what their plan is about how to like convert their, you know, physical collectors that buy all the toys off his site, right? You know, the hordes and hordes of them, right? Because like you got to make it seamless. You know, you really do, because like it's true. That's the funny thing that I've always said about a company like Veve. It's you just download the app and go to town, right? And of course, the interoperability thing that a lot of people want in crypto, you know, doesn't matter to most people, right? Like, so because you just have it on the platform and you just play with it on the platform and you sell it on the platform and you cash out your money on the platform. It's all just right there. So the interoperability thing of, you know, having that with Todd, where you can, it's on the open sea and you have all this kind of stuff, you can move it around. I mean, that's all great. The thing people want, and this is what we've been hearing people want, right? A lot of, not everybody said they want this, but a lot of people have. So let's see how many of them buy Todd. You know, let's see how well the drop does. Like, I'm going to go for it. I have my MetaMask ready. I got my account all up and running. You're right. It took me a little bit, like, honestly, and I was going to do a little video about it because there's people asking me on my channel, like, well, how do I do this? Right. So I was like, okay, let me sit down and do a little quick, like, easy kind of how to in a way. And honestly, man, like, it took me a little while to wrap my head around. Like, I had to like find out, like, I had to first set everything up. And some people in this, like, as we know, like, people are collectors my age ain't going to do that shit. I'm sorry. Right. Like, they're just not. Like, people, we will, and like, we'll be great. And younger people will, because they're, you know, this is just more their world. But like, you know, the guy at the comic book shop, you know, it's a tough sell for Todd to tell his physical collectors to come over and like set this whole thing up and get a MetaMask and go get some Matic for today. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, my drop head NFTs are on like the same way. You can buy them the same exact way. It was a learning curve that teach people who join my channel how to just get a free one, where I would just send it to them, you know, like, or how to buy one, because you had to have Matic. So, and then there's a conversion, like how you get Matic and how you have to have a little bit of like ETH in there and like all this kind of stuff. So they're still not like, you know, it's not turnkey, but it's amazing. And, you know, I'm just watching, right? Like, I am so curious. Like, I'm going to participate and try to get one, and I'm going to look at it on the OpenSea after, and the stuff they have after. And then I'm gonna look at the spawn stuff now, because now I finally have my account all activated. Now I can start.
Have your wallet connected?
Yeah, I have everything. It's all good to go. I just have to add some more Matic in there, but I probably won't need it because it's probably not going to make it to the back cowl holders, right? Like you said.
Oh, you want to be locked and loaded just in case, because they have they have the 200 autographed or whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm making sure. I'll be ready. I'll be ready right there. But like I said, it's you know, I'm going to be really curious to see how this goes. You know. And how well Mcfarlane does, and if it flops a bit, or if it has major glitches or errors, how they respond. You know, I mean, we've seen all these platforms come out, and it's been very difficult at first in certain things. Like DC had major problems on their drops. You know, I mean, also these companies, you know, like this is not easy stuff to do. And if you launch too early without testing, then, you know, but I think they'll be fine. Todd's a perfectionist, man. He's, you know, his stuff's going to be good.
Yeah, they did have trouble with the Superman mint.
Yeah.
With people being able to mint, and they're working towards rectifying it. But with any startup, like you said, there are going to be issues. Todd said that he doesn't know how it's going to work, right? In terms of converting physical collectors to digital, or vice versa, and that he's going to spend a lot of time trying different things and analyzing the data. So, you know, he's a smart guy.
Oh yeah. Well, he just wants, like I said in his interview, watch the one on Paul Barron, everybody, if you haven't. Just look it up and just watch Todd talk how he sees the space. It's another really cool thing for his customers to enjoy or not. And he said, why not give them the option? And I feel the same way about when I heard him talking like that. It really kind of made me feel really good about the digital collecting space, because then you start to think about different platforms the same way he thinks about his own product. Like, he thinks about his own products the way that we should all be thinking about these platforms. Different, you know, available, and options, and why not? And no one has to convert anybody. Like, he was like literally saying, like, I don't want, like, he didn't want his customers to stop collecting physical toys and turn into digital collectors. You know, he's just, here's another way you can do it. Here's another like cool thing you can do. And you can do it on my site, you know, with my rest of my stuff. And if you don't want to, that's okay. Like, but I want to get, why not? And he was like, why not give them the option? So for us, it's the same way, these platforms. Yeah. There's another cool platform you can go over that's got great IP. Remember when Cryptoys came out and there was the Star Wars? People were worried about Star Wars stuff. Oh, they got Star Wars now. Veve's dead or something, right? No, they're different Star Wars experiences. Like, how many Star Wars toys I have behind me that are different shapes and sizes and
or you got like companies like Funko or whatever coming out with different types of collectibles, and maybe that's what each of these, maybe people collect Funko Pops, and Veve will be its own brand, and they collect Veve.
Well, and it's true because first Lego, like Vader, first Funko Vader, first Kenner Vader. They're all firsts.
Yes.
Now some of them are more valuable because Kenner's way older or something, and it's like the first, like from the 70s. But these are all firsts, and people want them. So Lego collectors, they want the first Vader Lego minifigure from like 1998, I think it was, or something like that, right? And so like, that doesn't mean that, they have to go and get the Kenner one. Maybe they don't like it. That's cool. Some people want them all. That's kind of me.
Funny because I DM'd you about the Kenner Star Wars figures, the physicals, the vintage ones, asking if it was a good price on eBay.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a nice looking lot right there.
Yeah, I missed out on that one. That one went for like $400, but I got a little smaller lot for like $200. So
that's a good one. It's tough to sell. When I replied to you, I was looking at it. It's like, it's tough to see like if the weapons and the accessories are all legit too. And if you can usually tell they are, if the seller's really good seller, like then, because there's so much reproductions on those little blasters, even it's really hard to tell now, even because before it was super easy to tell, but now it's like the last like 5-6 years, it's been so hard to tell reproduction blasters. And trust me, those little weapons, sometimes they make a toy go from like one price to another price. And so when you see a lot like that, you see them all in there with some capes and things, and they look amazing. But it's like, even I have a baggie of vintage Star Wars blasters, and I still have like anxiety about posting them for sale, calling them legit, because it's like so hard to tell with these ones that have been like, basically reproduced, right? So you don't have to worry about that on digital, by the way, none of that. So, but that was a beautiful lot, man. When I see a Star Wars toy collection lot like that, I just drool.
Crazy Dan he's ahead of me. I think Dan, you're ahead of me a little bit on the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Over there. He says he can't download the Viewer app on his laptop. But you don't need the Viewer app to participate in the mint, right? You just go on the website, the Mcfarlane digital website.
Yeah. Well, I can't. Yeah, with the Viewer app too. I'm on a Mac. Okay, so I have a slightly different experience too. I couldn't download the Viewer app at all a few days ago because there was some sort of like version thing, but they fixed it, so it's all good. And I went into the Discord. I just asked, like, hey guys, and they were like, oh yeah, the devs are aware, and so then they fixed it. So I downloaded it. But then when I go into the app now, when it says connect your wallet into the Viewer app, into the market, it doesn't give me my MetaMask option.
Yeah, there's a fix there.
Yeah, so it's okay though, because I just open up my web browser and I'm in that market. So I can just do that. I'll do the drop is on the web browser, not the actual app itself with the showrooms and stuff. And I found it really slow right now, like the showroom. Like I actually, it was quicker today because maybe it's just my internet. But yesterday, I mean, I was bringing up the leaderboard and it was like, 10 seconds or 15, 20 seconds for it to show up. Yeah, today it was like about half that. I don't know if that means anything, but.
Yeah. But another thing, like someone like Mcfarlane coming into the space does it legitimizes it and gives you confirmation that this thing is real. This space is like here to stay, and this is the direction we're moving in. Yeah. So for sure. Now, in terms of interoperability, I saw on Twitter the other day you had posted something about you don't need interoperability, and and then people kind of like they did what people do on Twitter, like they kind of went at you or whatever about the idea. Do you think interoperability is important for Veve, and will like years from now might come back to bite them if they don't implement it?
Yeah, I mean, it's never been the reason that I've wanted to be on Veve or even in like digital collecting in general. Like I don't mind being on the platform and having my stuff on the platform. My whole thing with that was actually more about the true ownership. You know, because people equate to, you know, interoperability as true ownership. They'd be able to move it around, you know, and part of it's like, you know, if you own a comic book in the real world, you can move it into any room you want, or you can trade it or give it to someone, or, you know, you can do whatever you want with it. Right. Of course. So for me, the true owner, it was really about the true ownership aspect of it, not the interoperability. The true ownership for me was like, I could try to get down to the bare bones of it all. So can I sell it and make, you know, can I get my money? You know, like that's to me, like where, if I have to look at something on a specific platform and it's stuck there, you know, then that's a choice I have to make if I want to actually buy that. I'm actually okay with that for Veve. I don't mind. I like all my stuff on the app. I like being able to go there and, you know, can I get my money out though? And that was always the problem, right? And now I've actually finally, Canada's back again with the the international payouts back a bit. I finally got like the email saying that I can cash out now, you know, which for me, believe me, it's been since like December or something. I've never cashed out yet, but I finally have access. So can I sell something and then to me, the money is interoperable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I can take my money and I can go buy something else. Now, now that being said, okay, because I was talking, what you're asking me was like that tweet was literally just about, for me, going true ownership is if you can sell something and you can get money for it, because money you can do whatever you want with. That might be coming under question if you watch Andre Jick's recent video about digital money. I mean, that's a scary video. You can see that one?
I didn't see it, no.
Okay, go to his channel and watch that one. That's going to be interesting, right? Because governments with digital money and stuff, it's kind of crazy. But having cash, like, you know, I can sell my Veve thing. I'm just using Veve as the example because we talk about it the most on my channel. But I can sell my Veve thing. I can take my gems and I can, like, you know, turn them into cash, and I can go do whatever I want with my cash. Now, if you want to take it to the next level and say the collectible itself, I want to be able to move that around and do stuff with it. Well, then a site like Mcfarlane looks like you're going to be able to have that option, right? And that's cool and everything. And some people really want that, but to me, it's never been that important. I really don't care about that. What am I going to do with my Todd? You know, like I can put it on the OpenSea, I can put it in a wallet, I guess, keep it safe or something. But I kind of want to, like, you know, I kind of like having it all centralized. And I think, and it might sound funny in the Web3 space, but I don't mind it on the app itself. It's just the way I see it. And then I also think that the general public, and because I come from that certain age and background where it's just easier. And so I'm trying to think about like more people getting into digital collecting, and you got to make it like easy and accessible for them. And a lot of people, and this might be weird, a lot of people feel safe being on a platform, not being on like the OpenSea, you know. A lot of people will feel that way. They feel freaked out about wallets and crypto and MetaMask and all that. And, you know, like, it's just the truth, you know. I mean, a lot of us don't. I mean, I'm not scared of that stuff. So, you know, for me, it was just down to basic true ownership. And we, you know, everybody's got a different definition of that. And that's totally cool. I respect everybody's opinions. But if I can sell it, you know, and I can get cash for it, then to me, it's okay. I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, some people are going to think I'm crazy, but that's okay.
I think, again, what it comes down to is having options, right? And Kyle's in the house. Shout out to Kyle. And he's a real, like, Web3 guy. He has, you know, certain ideals that he wants upheld when it comes to this space, which is why he might, I'm not speaking for him, but someone like him might gravitate more towards Mcfarlane, right? Because they have the
options.
Correct. And that might be their option. That same, like, holding it in your MetaMask for someone else who's not accustomed to that might freak them out. And they would want the option, like you said, of a centralized place, which brings its own, you know, dangers, right? Because if you get frozen out of your account, or you know, a lot of things that we've heard about, right? It's got its own issues. But the one thing you don't have to worry about is like clicking a link and then, you know, someone phishing and like draining your account, which even happens to seasoned, you know, crypto people, right? People who are, you know not to fall for scams, and they're well educated. Sometimes they still get their shit stolen from them. So there is a certain level of comfortability, I guess, in keeping him on a centralized place. And I don't think it's what, right or wrong. And a lot of people like approach it from that perspective because they're
Yeah.
approaching it from their own perspective instead of understanding that there are many perspectives and different levels of comfortability in this space. And not everyone is comfortable with self custody. And that's okay. Personally, in dealing with, Mcfarlane, I like it, right? I enjoy it. I
Yeah.
like opening up my MetaMask. They're there. I feel like they're mine, and I feel like I am more in control of them. At the same time, if I had a huge collection in there, I'd probably, I'd be worried.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's not even there isn't even an answer yet, right? Like
About what?
because like what's better, I think is still to be determined, right? And even what we're comparing right now isn't even the end game of it all. Like
Right.
in my mind, like so when people ask like if I'm care about interoperability or if I'm like, it's not that I'm like against interoperability, right? It's not, it doesn't bother me to have my stuff on Veve,
Right.
right? The same way if I go onto Mcfarlane, it doesn't bother me to have my stuff in my MetaMask. It's just the way that that platform works. Now, if I have a problem with the platform like Veve and I don't trust that they're going to be there, like, and they'll close the doors and everything will get locked. Well, then, yeah, if you feel that way, don't put your money in because, that could happen. Like, but I'm not worried about that myself. And it's not really that because I haven't put enough in to, go bankrupt or something. There's always that kind of talk, right? Like, well, don't over leverage. And then everything you put on Veve, you could lose, it's okay. Not really. That's not the way I see it. It's more like, I'm not scared of Veve going under, so I'll lose all my toys in there. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I'm more scared about my house burning down and me losing all my toys that are in my closet or something, right? So I've literally bought in storage and stored stuff the way that you would on like one of these, like wallets, right? Like you would get storage and you'd store your high stuff there. But then again, that building could burn down, right? So digitally, it's different. The options, I think, need to be easier and clearer for everybody. And the safety aspect of things needs to be like still looked at. Cause like you said, if you own like a, $100,000 NFT, I mean, like where's the best place to put it? Okay, you put it in one of your cold storage wallets, right? Okay, that's probably the best thing to possibly do, right? I mean, let's be honest. But then again, like, there are risks, for even owning that kind of thing regardless, right? So I try to enjoy the spaces that I'm in, right? Like, and I try to look at each platform as a different experience. And if one of them's not working for me, I just won't put my stuff in there, no matter how cool the stuff is, but I also at the same time think that, these companies, like, we don't even know what this is going to look like. We're all hoping, like, what I would like is I would like, safe and secure, the ability to trade my collectibles. Like, let's talk about Veve, right? I would like to be able to trade with other people.
Yeah.
I'd like, for sure, right? I'd like to be able to transfer them. I don't like that we can't transfer. I know why we can't transfer, but I like to be able to transfer.
It's part of ownership, is the ability to transfer and give it to someone.
Yeah, someone else, right? And I like, obviously be able to cash out, that's great. And fees on the cash out don't bother me because I've been selling on eBay for the last 15 years or more. And, trust me, you don't want to be, you're not worried about fees if you're selling on eBay, right? So
Yeah.
fees on Veve's cash out, right? So, I want to be able to do that stuff, right? For sure. And, but to take it off platform and store it somewhere else, I mean, I think that's probably important for some people, but for me, I don't think I would even do that. I mean, I'd be like, it'd just be a pain in the butt for me, like to transfer it over. And then, I mean, if I could transfer I mean, it doesn't even matter to me, like, so, but if I'm on Mcfarlane and now I can play around with that and I have it on the OpenSea and cause I have NFTs on it. I mean, I bought and sold NFT. I have my own, I have my own NFT on the OpenSea. Like, I know what that's all about.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's cool, right? You can put it like, but I don't know, I'm still thinking that this whole thing is still being developed so much now that I don't have the definitive answer of what I 100% prefer, but I do know that I'm comfortable with Veve right now with my stuff that I own on there. And I'm also comfortable with like the other platforms I'm on and how they're doing it. I'm waiting to see where they're going to take this thing and how, and more interested. I'm more curious about what the people who aren't here yet are going to be more comfortable doing. And I have a feeling it's the Veve route because it's just easier.
Yeah, I do think for the everyday person, Veve hits that spot. For people who value like Web3 ideals and things like that, places like Mcfarlane will be that spot. And then, you know, if you like playing with things and gamification, whatever, perhaps something like Cryptoys or another platform is that spot. But the key thing is, like we said, I think, is that there are options for people, and that now these different platforms push each other to, you know, move faster or be more creative and things like that. But I will
said they're going to drop in other NFTs into their Veve verse.
Yes.
So you might see this Todd in the Veve verse if it ever comes around, you know?
Right.
Like, and does that mean you'd be able to go the other way? I hope so. I think Jim Lee and Mcfarlane are shaking hands. David Yu's taking a picture with Mcfarlane. And you got to know, when David Yu is taking his photo with Mcfarlane, David Yu is like you or me with Mcfarlane. He may own Veve. He may have this big company, but he's looking at Mcfarlane as a fan.
He's a fanboy right there. Yeah.
He's like, he's not going over there for a PR shot. He's like, I want to meet Mcfarlane, because Mcfarlane is like a creator.
Yeah.
You know, David Yu is a collector.
Correct.
Okay? He's just a bigger collector than all of us, and has created this crazy platform that who knows where it's going to go. Mcfarlane's literally a creator. Like he's,
and it's got to hit home. There has to be like a special connection there for David, also being that the Todd was the first drop on Veve.
Yeah.
So there's also that like
choose that. Yeah, I would think that David probably had a big, obviously, like,
yeah.
Why else would they not pick that? Why would they could have picked anything?
Yeah. I will say that in terms of like that whole argument of interoperability, I think that the reason why Veve has to deliver is because they said they would.
Yes, and that's key. Yeah.
People made financial decisions based on what they said. And so in that regard, I think they have to deliver.
That's a great point. Yep. Follow through.
The rest of it is like more philosophical in nature, or, depending on.
It's more preference. Yeah. Collecting preference and like what you feel is important or not. But yeah, if they said they're going to do it, and I know they've said, because that's before my time too, right? Like that's a lot of people are getting in because of that.
Right.
I was in not because of that, right? I was in because I saw Spider-Man. I'm like, oh, that's cool. But like a lot of people got in for that, and they have said like it's almost like levels of interoperability, like the IMX artist stuff. Remember, like that's not happened yet.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe this good stuff's going to be on IMX, so I got an account for that back in the day, and have some HRO cards over there and stuff. And I was all ready for like IMX interoperability with Veve stuff, I still have my account.
Justin's got the wallet, the Akomi wallet.
It's a collectible now. How much is it worth?
They're going to make an NFT of it. It'll be very like meta.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
What do you think of the recent moves that they've been making over there in Asia, the partnership with Baba? There's been a lot of talk about whether that's like significant, not significant. What do you think? Is that just like a move for like the server, like, AWS, or do you think there's more to it?
No, I think they're building the metaverse, their Veveverse, because the company they went with, Vive, right? It's so confusing because it's so close. You see what they do, right? Digitally, you see the stuff at the screen that they have and their studio and what they actually do, and part of it is, I think that's really building out the Veve space. And then of course, I thought the Alibaba one was like the Alibaba Cloud was literally, they help companies build the metaverse, build their version of a metaverse. Like if you look into it too. So when I was looking at both of those, I was thinking, yeah, they're really like trying to work on this Veveverse thing, this world or whatever, and the one that the Vive company that does the K-pop and all that.
Yeah.
There's other interesting things about that too, because if you look at their little video and you check out their company, you know, their video on their home screen, and if you like follow the whole thing through, you can see they have like kind of like character development type stuff, like animation stuff at the end of it. So their ability to create like digital assets and their ability to like, you know, create experiences digitally that are like take you like beyond what we're normally used to. For Veve to have a company like that to have access to their like their creative power is pretty crazy to me. I don't know what's going to come of it, but I think it's a big deal. Like I really do. I don't mean that our collectibles are going to go to the moon. I just mean like what they're looking to create. Cause you know, we look at like this taunt stuff. It looks really cool. Right. And we see the Iron Man looks better than most stuff we've gotten. You know, you can see the quality is increasing, right? Like it looks like that way in the digital collecting space from the early stuff, right? Like the quality is rising. And so look at that Vive company, if that's what you call it. I
think it's Vive. Yeah,
I think it's Vive. And then the partnership there, looking like, you know, how David tweeted or Instagram that out. Look at what they do, and look at the market they attract. You know, like look at the K-pop bands they work with, and beyond that, it's pretty amazing, that studio. So if they're going to do stuff for Veve, or maybe do stuff for Veve's customers, like Veve's customers looking to create amazing digital collectibles or whatever, you know, if they have a company that like, if they're using their studio to help build some of those things, like we don't know, right? That's part of it. Or if they're just building their own Veve verse environment and it's going to look like crazy, like some of the stuff in that vid, that to me is just amazing for the future. And then of course you throw in the fact that, you know, it's a whole other side of the world from where I live, you know, like the market over there. Yeah. And by the way, you know, BTS is all in their video. And, you know, in my house, we have a couple of BTS armies, you know, and, you know, big time. And so, you know, they've talked about doing NFTs, and their community was like really kind of upset with it because of the, you know, the environmental impact. Right. And so having Veve being a carbon neutral NFT platform connected with the company that does the literal video work for the company that actually, you know, is the production company for BTS and tons of these K-pop bands, and BTS coming out saying they're interested in NFTs.
It's pretty cool.
You know, who knows, we might get a BTS NFT or something like that, and that would be absolutely ridiculous.
They're definitely looking into that Asian market, and you can see signs of it with like the whole localization, the languages built out. Yeah. Veve Meister just posted, he tweeted out an article from Asia. Don't know what it said. There was one word in English. It was collectibles. The rest of it was in another language. Yeah. You know, the Alibaba thing, the Vive thing. So it's good to see them, you know, expanding and broadening out. Alex was in a Spaces and he was asked about Vive, and he said it's not what people think. And he kind of downplayed it a little. I think what they're doing is kind of flirting with like a relationship there. Maybe they're building out like a little commercial or something for them, like something like promotional. Yeah, is my take on it.
That could be something cool. Yeah, they're like that's yeah.
But what it could be,
just marketing alone would be amazing. Yeah.
But then also to have the partnership develop could be something that is a good thing moving forward.
Yeah, I don't think we'll see anything anytime soon regarding that or find out any news about that. But that's interesting. Just the marketing aspect of it and what that company does. Yeah. That would be pretty rad, right? So
do you think one of the things though I was one of my thoughts around the Alibaba thing was they kind of have a habit of posting these things on like Instagram, and it's them with like Alibaba, them with Vive, and they don't say anything, and then the community runs wild with speculation, right?
Sure. Yeah.
And everyone's like, Alibaba is one of the biggest companies in the world, right?
Moon boys like me put out videos.
Yes. So speculation runs wild.
Yeah.
It could end up being just the web services thing.
Sure.
Should there be, knowing their community and how speculation runs wild and how those things have in the past come back to bite them, right? With people, the hype building up to levels beyond what was delivered.
Yeah.
Should there be a layer of communication that is coupled with that?
I would think so. That would probably be the best thing. Like, don't announce something unless there's actual something to announce, because then we can all go, oh, great. But at the same time, on the flip side of that, if we didn't see any of that stuff, I mean, I think a lot of people in the community would be even more disheartened. I think stuff like that it really drives, interest, and it's just smart business, and if they're running a business and they want to keep people interested, aside from just the drops, and if they are doing these kind of meetings and partnerships and stuff like that, but they can't really tell us what it is yet, because maybe the deal's not done or whatever, like the MOU is like not an actual agreement, right? It's just an understanding. But of course, we all looked that up after that, and we all learned a little bit about that, right? Because how many of us knew what that was, specifically in the Asian markets, right? So, I mean, it just keeps interest going. And I think it's just good business. It keeps me interested, that's for sure. Now, the thing that you said, the fine line is like, then you start like promising stuff that doesn't exist, right? So, and then people make financial decisions based upon that, which is obviously gets people wrecked, right? So, but I have no problem them tweeting out, or I guess Instagramming, because it's really just David Instagramming with Pokemon food, and stuff like that, right? Like, you know what I mean, right? It gets everybody kind of excited, right? It's pretty smart, and so I would then recommend, okay, so this is what he does. And then Alex, like this is nothing new, right? Alex comes into his space as well, everybody. So just take it with a grain of salt, right? And don't go out and buy 10 Waltz, because you saw like them standing there with Alibaba, right? Like wait for some real news and then, make your decisions, based upon that. But it's still fun to talk about. And I still like it. Like I like seeing those kind of things. I like it. It piques my interest. And I think it piques the interest of like the community. And I think it keeps us kind of like looking forward to the potential, right? To what could actually happen. And I think that's a good thing. I personally do. I really do think it's a good thing, so I like seeing that stuff. I want to see more of it, but I do want to know what the hell they're doing. Like, what the heck is that all about? Because I can sit there and make a video and say BTS and this, that, and the other. And, you connect the dots, which is what we always do, but I mean, would you rather have just nothing? Yeah. I'd rather have the content, I'd rather have the speculation and the fun. But I'm still going to be smart and not just go crazy, right?
Yeah. No, I agree. I definitely, speculation is fun. But I also think that communication, especially I guess with how people have been, feel like they got burnt a little, whatever, off of the communication. I think it's important.
Sure.
I'd like to see, they used to have those AMAs back in the day. I don't know if there needs to be almost like a healing, you know what I mean? Where they come out and talk about whatever difficulties they had on the tech side and explain it and say, listen, this is what happened, whatever their intentions were. I don't know. Because I was, in that spaces earlier today and it got a little heated. And sometimes those spaces get heated because there's a lot of frustration. And, maybe a good thing would be to just have like, get it all out. And then but maybe it won't fix anything anyway, because some people are just going to be, they're just going to be salty regardless or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think that, and there's certain people in the community that I follow and watch and are very critical of Veve no matter what they do, and always find the negative angle, like just something comes out and so I don't think that's ever going to go away. Now, I've always said this though, and Danny, I've said this before. Once people stop talking about Veve, we're in trouble.
Yeah. It's true.
It's always
yeah.
Yeah. You know how it works, right? Like, like if you're into sports, right? And the coach is ignoring you,
yeah,
and you're on the bench, they don't give a shit about you. But if they're hard on you and they're pushing you, they see the potential and they care. And I find that kind of similar to some of the people in the community who are pushing Veve hard. It's because they care and they want it to succeed. And they actually, not just for their own bags, but you know, they've been here, right? And they want to get out there. Certain people just want to troll, and we see them all the time. It's kind of entertaining. It's kind of fun. And I never really take any of it personally myself. I think it's kind of interesting and funny. And anybody gets really personal, I'll just block them. And then I unblock them later, you know, because I don't want, because I like to see
put them on timeout.
Yeah, I like to see what people are talking
about. You're such a dad.
Yeah, actually, it's funny. Somebody called me a dad the other day on Twitter. They said, "Thanks, Dad," and I was like, "Okay." I actually replied with, "Anytime, kid," you know, because you know, if I am a dad, but no, I mean, like, yeah. So I know what you mean by coming out and just, you know, I guess what you're really, I mean, I don't know, maybe I don't want to speak for you, but really coming out with just coming out clean and just saying like, this is everything that happened. You know, I think that we have had, you know, we've been able to piece it all together, right? We have had the general notion that they got ahead of themselves, didn't have a big enough team, promised things they couldn't deliver, sensationalized stuff to get more interest in, to grow the business early. You know, I hesitate to say outright lie, but I know people feel that way. So, you know,
and I think that's the thing.
The early days. So I that's why you never hear me talk about the early days, because I wasn't here in those earlier. I got here October 2021. So the app was pretty established by then and getting going. And, but there were tweets and things and, oh, this is coming by the end of the year type deal. So I really think that they just like, you know, exaggerated on promises. Also, I think they miscalculated majorly, didn't handle the backlash properly, and didn't communicate, you know, because maybe they felt a bit embarrassed about it, you know. But we've seen since they've hired more staff and all that, since like, you know, November or whatever with Mitch and everybody, you've seen them actually progress at a rate that they should have been progressing the 2 years prior when they were telling everybody what they were going to do. They seem to be more on track now than they were then. So yeah, explaining those first couple of years to the people who are here early would be probably a great thing to do, you know. But at the same time, I don't think you're going to satisfy those people, a lot of people, because, you know, it's pretty much like a screw up, right? In the early days, like, you know, they pretty much, you know, crap the bed on some stuff. And so people are going to always be mad about that. Now it's the people's decision to continue to bring it up all the time, always, and always hold it against the platform. You know, and I always said this too, the platform's never going to be done. Like I've been saying this a bit lately, the platform is not going to be finished. There's always going to be something. So when you see something like a good example is like something like that isn't finished yet, but they post a you know, like it's on the way, this is the progression, whatever, right? Because people have been asking for that. And then, you know, there is a response that comes out that's like, well, yeah, it's not done yet. And here we go again, and hashtag soon and all that kind of crap, right? But the app is always going to be unfinished. Like, I don't think there's like, they're going to continue to build and build and build for months and months and months. Same with Mcfarlane, same with Cryptoys, same with HRO. I don't think you're ever going to turn around one day and they're going to say, hey, guess what? It's done. We completed the app. Now just collect, right? They're always going to keep pushing. Like Fortnite's never done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's an ongoing thing. So every time they come out with an update on something new, the response should not be like, oh, hashtag soon. Now, you know, like, oh, here we go again. It's like, no, it's never going to be done, because they've actually shown that right now they're actually getting better. Like they're actually moving forward. But at the same time, there's some big stuff that we're waiting for, like MCP and everything. And they got to come through with this stuff. I mean, they really do. Otherwise, this building phase we're in is going to turn more into like that competition phase. And then once you're in that competition phase and like another platform's doing way better, then you're going to start losing like ground. And then maybe your IPs, you know, I'm not a business major in this way. I mean, these guys, you know, but their customers, like their IPs that are like doing deals, well, maybe we'll go over to that platform instead. You know, maybe that one's selling out a bit better, or the community's a bit better, but Veve's still selling everything out almost.
Yeah. They're still
biggest. So
there's a lot, right, to unpack, right? The first is that the product obviously resonates because the people who are frustrated, like you said, are still here. I guess the question is for them, how do we make it right with these people that are still here, are rooting for the project deep down? You know, they want it to succeed, right? Because they enjoy it. They enjoy the community. They enjoy the product. How do we make it right? I think the only answer is to deliver on those big things, right?
That's right.
It's nice that we've had a cadence, a better cadence with this, some small things, the crafting and burning, localization, wait list. These are nice, accomplishments. They need MCP. You know what I mean? They need that in full to reward the people who have been accruing those points. Like you said, Dr. Rolex got to 100. Now what? He's getting rewarded more on Mcfarlane, right? And he's got nothing over there. He's number 15. He's behind me. I'm a bigger whale over there than him.
Well, he hasn't hit drops either, right?
What's that?
I don't think Rolex has really been successful on the waitlist drops either.
How is that? He gets shut out. See, and so for him, that's gotta be.
I think that was another. I can't confirm that, but I think I saw that. I think Sanjay may have said that, or somebody may have said he's like, I had to complete it in the market, but that's okay. I'm over on the wait list as well. So that he's going to clean up though, right? Like people like that are going to clean up. They're just going to clean up when the time comes. So but yeah,
shout out to him. Sorry to cut you off, but shout out to him because he's not out here. I mean, if anyone has a right to complain about that, it's him. Dude has 100, hit 100 or whatever, at the top spot. So he's like a very classy guy. He loves collecting. He's passionate about it. He deserves to be rewarded for what he's accomplished.
Yeah, 100%. Nobody, including Veve, disagrees.
Yeah.
I know they don't. I mean, obviously, I'm sure that they all want MCP to be working right now too. So I'm hoping they're just working their butts off over it.
Yeah.
Get my points right. My points aren't quite right. I swear to God, I'm not a math major, but
Mr. MC1 said that today also, that there are other people who are having issues with their points. So I guess this is part of what's holding them back a little, is trying to fix these bugs. They're retroactively doing this. So it's harder. It's kind of like, flying a plane, building a plane while you're flying it.
Right? Yeah, true. And that's why it's never going to be done, right?
Yeah.
Like even when the Veve, the MCP is here, the tweaks will have to happen because maybe something won't be working quite right, or maybe they'll make an adjustment because maybe it's not like the best way they're doing it, or or maybe they want to actually reward more or less or whatever, and all this. So it'll just there's always going to be something to complain about that isn't finished. So I would recommend to people to like whenever you see an update that comes, if it's a good one, right? Then, celebrate it as opposed to being more like, here we go again, not finished, because it's never, you're going to be able to do that for the entire time you're probably in Veve. There's always going to be something to go, well, that's not here yet. You know what I mean? Some of it now, though, we're getting to the point where these ones, like these big ones, the MCPs and stuff like that, we can all still do this though. I have no problem with anyone going, it's not here yet. I'm not crazy about I'm not worried about it myself because I'm not like a level 100, The other thing about that though, is I've said this a few times too, is I'm not, and I talked to MPAX about this, right? Because I know, MPAX, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And we were chit-chatting. We were in a Twitter space and I was talking about how they even calculate these points. To me is not fully defined yet the way it should be, because people with high level collections get low points. You got, I don't like people who have like Walt, who spend thousands of gems on him, could take the thousands of gems and buy stamps till the cows come home, and they would be way better in position in MCP. And I don't think that that's right. Yeah. I don't think that high level collections not getting MCP simply because of the fact that, the items they have are high level, but low MCP rewarded. Something's got to be done about that. And, it's from my own personal experience too. Like I'm not trying to get more points, but when I see I have like 30 amazing fantasies, but my points are way down, and then people look at my account when I post and they go, oh, you're like a level 23, 24. Like I thought you were a collector. Yeah. Well, I got like, $13,000 worth of amazing fantasies, but my master collector doesn't reflect that at all. So, I mean, that to me is like something they're missing in this initial articles and stuff, because, even the low mints, they gave a little boost for low mint. So there's got to be something there that I don't have the answer for it, but I think there's a disconnect,
Yeah. So for Mcfarlane, I think that again, have the benefit of Veve's hindsight, right? They can look at what Veve has done and say, well, this is good. This doesn't make sense. How can we make that better? They weighted. So for their XP point system, it's weighted off of the floor. You get a certain amount of points based on the floor of the collection.
Great.
So, for instance, if you have that Superman and it's worth $200, you get 200 points, or whatever it is. And that's what things are weighted. And I think that, and now
that would be a good potential solution, because, you know, there's like a secret rare comic that's worth like an Amazing Fantasy secret rare, which I don't own. If you liquidated that and went into the app and bought like every collectible, here's the thing. It gets down to, I don't want to buy stuff I don't want.
Correct. You don't want to just buy it for the sake of accumulating points.
And I've been doing that lately. I've been feeling the pressure. So here I go buying presidential stamps. I'm a Canadian.
These damn presidential stamps.
Yeah. Like I they're cool. I like the way they look.
I like the Abraham Lincoln one.
Oh, I like the White House one. You know, it looks great. Yeah, the Lincoln one looks good. But here I am buying the set because, you know, it's great MCP and it's cheap. And there we go. That's awesome, right? But like, I'd rather spend the 50 gems on like in a Hulk 1, you know, comic, or like another collectible, you know, like just like, and it doesn't mean that I should feel like I should get the same amount of points, because completing sets is part of the game and I get it and it's all good. I'm not complaining about that, but you know what I mean? Like, I think we're speaking the same language, and with like what Mcfarlane's doing with the Flora thing, that's, so you can see how they considered that, right?
Right.
Because this is something that's come up over the last bunch of months. You know, somebody who has a collection and it's worth 150,000 gems and they're like level 20 MCP is not right. You know, like, I mean, there's got to be some kind of, you know what I mean?
And it's a dynamic, it's a living document, right? So it's not done. I'm sure they're going to go
back. We need to give them, right? And
correct.
And hopefully they'll, exactly. And places like Mcfarlane, let's see how it works for you guys, right? And for us, for me, once I get my XP, once I get this Todd,
you're going to get it, man. You're going to get the sign.
I got the back of the back cowl, people. You know, if you're going to give us a partnership, you better let us get one, or at least have a chance at it.
I hope that people, I hope that cowl holders, some cowl holders are able to get a few.
Yeah, because if you have cowl holders, they're not going to, like, Todd McFarlane's not going to award cowl holders a allow list spot on a, you know, NBA basketball drop. Right. It's got to be DC stuff like this. You think about it, right? Like, having a back cowl is not going to get you full access to Mcfarlane when he starts dropping his like video game franchise stuff. You'd think it's just going to be for the DC stuff, right? So I'm just guessing. I don't know, but
that makes sense.
Yeah. So this is one of those drops, right? So I know this is one to reward all the collectors like yourself, and that's great. But if they do more DC stuff, save some. But we'll see how it goes, right?
Yeah. We've been going for an hour and a half. Do another 5 minutes and then wrap up.
Yeah, man, for sure. I mean, it hasn't felt like an hour and a half.
It always goes fast. And I love talking to you because, you know, like I said before, you're just passionate about the whole industry, and you've got years of collecting experience, and you carry that with you. And so you see things from a certain perspective, and you don't get jaded by what, you know, we all see what the things that go wrong, but you don't let that get to you.
Well, I try not to, and I'm still learning, right? Like, that's the thing. Like, you know, I make vids and I give people my opinions and stuff, but I'm still learning about the space. I hope everybody realizes that we're all still figuring it out and watching the stuff grow in front of our face and having them actually build it, and having them watch these companies flop or make horrible mistakes, or like do amazing achievements of stuff. And we don't even know what, like, we're not even like anywhere near where this whole digital collecting space is going to be when these Apple glasses come out, and like the developers that are working on stuff right now that we don't even know about in preparation for that kind of tech. I mean, maybe that's why, you know, Veve went and partnered up with Veve, because the Apple glasses are coming and they needed high level, like a high level studio to do amazing immersive experiences that we're just going to, I mean, like, the world is changing, right? We're watching it, and I mean, I grew up in that other time, you know, before all this. So it's pretty amazing. All of this, maybe I'm just kind of amazed at everything I'm seeing. You know, maybe I'm like, just look at these things and I go, I can't believe that little Iron Man's on my phone and then he's standing in my living room and I can shoot with him. You know, maybe it's just that if I really look back on it, like look down deep, and why I'm excited about everything we're seeing, because it's a whole new area of collecting that it's just so easy and fun. And it just has so much potential, right? And of course to make money, but really just to like really have a blast. I mean, so you know, like why not be excited? You know, like I'm just enjoying this every day. So, you know, try not to lose money either. I'm not making the drops. I'm not getting the drops, and that hurts because if I got to spend 175 on Iron Man instead of 60, that means I don't have 115 gems to spend on other stuff. You know, it's not really about landing the drop and selling it. It's about having to spend extra gems to acquire it that I can't buy other things to get me ahead on Master Collector. So, you know, I really want to land a few waitlist drops, and I don't know. Look, I'm still evaluating that. So, you know, like we're all kind of trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to end. Before we go, we had a question for you. How many points do you have, if you want to share that?
How many points? Like what, on which platform? On Veve?
Yeah. Master Collectors, I think he's asking.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, totally. I'm level 23. Okay. And I'm just bringing up the app. I don't have it off the top of my head. So I'm level 23. I'm getting close to level 24. I got 68,000 points. Okay. Nice. So it's not huge. I'm getting about 170 a day. I should be getting 250.
All right. And so you should have way more of that. I mean, when it's done correctly, should be more, because those will be compounding.
Yeah, I should be getting 247.25 points per day. And I'm getting around 170. And actually before that, it was about 140.
All right.
And so I think it's getting better, you know, but like I said, you know, I got 267 comics, 38 collectibles, and 13 sets. Now my comics, I have, you know, like 30 Amazing Fantasies. So I had to sell 2 to go after Stan Lee. Okay, so I had to sell 2 of them. So I had like my peak with Amazing Fantasy has been 33 total. I sold 1 a few weeks ago to a member of my channel, like in my Discord, for a really cheap deal, because I really needed to get something else in the app, and I had 33 of them. I'm like, maybe I can just, you know. So I went on my Discord and I said, hey guys, I'm going to sell one of these Amazing Fantasy Uncommons for cheaper, and you guys can, like, does anyone want it? And it was like about 60 below the floor. And so they were like, cool. Cause I really didn't need a ton of gems. I was making profit on it anyway, right? Cause I bought it early. So then I had 32 of them. Then I sold 2 very quickly, actually last week, because of Stan Lee, right? I was like, you know what, this is one that I have to get. And oh yeah, the other one I sold, the other Amazing Fantasy, was because I was getting Luke Skywalker's ultra rare, I believe, to complete the set. So, you know, like, I do not like to give those up, but they're worth so much. And my Master Collector is taking major hits because of it. So then here I am, you know, trying to up my Master Collector, because I know we're getting closer and closer, right? And I'm going to be way behind. But, like, you know, do I feel like I'm a Master Collector in the app? Sure. I feel like I don't feel like I deserve the title necessarily compared to other people because of my totals. But like I said, if you have high value items, you do not get Master Collector rewarded. And then to me, that's kind of the missing link. Yeah. So that's where I'm sitting at with Veve. And you guys, ask me anytime. I usually, when I live stream, you can see my account. It's always like on screen, and I always show everything that I have. And because, you know, I mean, like, it's all good, right?
Yeah. And if you guys don't watch those live streams, check them out. When do you stream live?
Well, I usually go like
consistently, right?
Yeah. It's summer. It's a bit tougher. I was going Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday mostly. Now I did one today, this morning. The next one I'm going to do is Friday, because I'm actually going to do some family stuff on Wednesday, Thursday. So Friday morning, I'll be doing another one. And then maybe on Saturday, I'm trying to do the weekends too, right? So like just one, right? Usually it's like around 10:30 Pacific in the morning. That usually works for me. So, and then sometime around there. So, but I post it, you know, and you guys can pop in. I know I see a lot of familiar faces in the chat, and we're all kind of watching each other's stuff. I mean, I'm watching you and all your stuff as well. And I mean, this is how we learn, right?
Yeah, it's really great to talk to everyone and have opportunities to have this sort of discourse and, you know, talk to people in the chat, right? And get to know everyone through these streams and over on Twitter and stuff. So I value it a lot. I want to thank you for coming on the channel again. Always great to talk to you. And thanks everyone in the chat for coming through and listening and, you know, commenting and sharing your opinions down there. Appreciate you all. Thanks, buddy.
Cheers.
Cheers.